Do you think you could tell apart the iPhone 13 camera over the iPhone 12 if I put the pictures side by side? What if I threw in the iPhone 11? Do you even know which camera I'm filming this with right now? Did you say the iPhone 12? Well, in that case, you'd be correct. But in case you're curious, here's the iPhone 13 footage side by side with the iPhone 12. Can you see the difference? To my eye, the iPhone 13 looks more exposed with brighter highlights, almost washed out a bit. The color does pop though, and this was close to sunset, but the larger sensor of the iPhone 13, which lets in 47% more light, is really noticeable to my eye. Are you seeing it too? There's also a definite increase in sharpness, particularly when you zoom in. Okay, so there's a couple of hints for the upcoming photo test that we're about to do. I took 12 photos with each camera side by side, didn't edit or color correct any of them. These are the photos straight out of the iPhone cameras, and I wanted to see if you could tell the difference. Hi everybody, foXnoMad here, and today I want to help you travel smarter by showing you the differences between these cameras, or at least seeing if you can see the differences between these cameras, because maybe you have an iPhone 11 and you're thinking about upgrading to the 13, or a more difficult choice, you've got the 12, and you're on the fence about upgrading to the 13 and you want to see if the camera alone is enough to make that decision. Or you've already ordered an iPhone 13 and you're still waiting for it due to the chip shortage. So here's a look at what those photos are gonna look like. Alright, so we're about to begin the test, but I want to know at the end, how many of these 12 photos did you get correct? So here's the first photo, and it's a tricky one. Which do you think is the iPhone 13? Now I'm gonna guess a lot of you said the middle one because the pumpkins are so much more saturated with the bright orange, especially when compared to the 11 or 12. The iPhone 13 on the lower right isn't as saturated, but definitely sharper around the edges, especially when you zoom in a little bit. And the 11 looks right in between these two when it comes to the color, and it's not a bad photo at all. On to the next one, and how about we zoom in a little bit? I'll give you a second to guess which of these photos I took from about 8 centimeters is the iPhone 13. This one though goes against what happened in the first photo. The picture on the left is the iPhone 12, and it's a lot more washed out than the 11 and 13. In the background of the 11, the white matte is really blown out, but the 13 really gets it right. The colors are warm but more even, and the bokeh is nice. No fringing or blown out whites. All the phones though got the focus up close right, and they look sharp. How are you doing so far? Now this next one is not a great photo. It's a dark subject against a light background with ample ambient but not particularly great light. I was kind of surprised that the iPhone 11, yes that's the one in the center, did so well. It really takes what light is available and gives more color to the laughing Buddhas, and it's really noticeable on the right one especially. The iPhone 12 and the iPhone 13 though are more understated with their colors. I think at this point what shows in the pictures we've seen so far is that not only are the cameras of these phones different, but how the software is tweaked for each of these camera sensors and lenses is also different. And that plays a big part on what the photos out of these cameras end up looking like. Yeah, the cameras are great, but I am impressed with how much the software adds to the final product. Software hacking this dog with a treat worked to keep him still for 3 photos, like the iPhone 13 photo in the center. All of these pictures are really sharp and each individual piece of fur is crisp, but the 13 does bokeh, which is that background blur, in a more fine and realistic way. 47% more light? Well, I was impressed taking this picture of myself in a bathroom with the door cracked open with just a little bit of ambient light leaking through. There's clearly a lot of software manipulation going on in each photo, but to me this one is obvious. The iPhone 13 is on the left. It's pretty incredible considering how dark the bathroom was to get these photos this good, although it does require the camera to stay still for about 3 seconds to capture enough light. If you shoot a lot of photos indoors or a lot of nighttime photography, the 13 hands down just crushes the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 11. This has to be the hardest of the bunch. The iPhone 13 is on the left, but it's not easy to tell, and it just goes to show that the differences between these cameras aren't so apparent in all situations. How about the selfie camera? The 11 is a little bit on the yellow side, the 12 a bit sharper with more reds, and the 13 on the right I feel is more tuned to my face, adjusting color, exposure, and white balance based on how to make my skin look best, which is pretty much what you would want for a selfie. The iPhone 13 is the sharpest, but the iPhone 11, which does lean toward warmer colors, has a bit more vibrance here where there's not much color variation. So how's your score doing at this point? Let's do a couple more to see if these cameras really are that different. This is an interesting one. The iPhone 13 is the sharpest, but the iPhone 11, which does lean toward warmer colors, has a bit more vibrance here where there's not much color variation. This is a tough one, but if you're just looking for the sharpest photo, the 13 on the left edges this one out, but I don't blame you if you got it wrong. How about this one? I like a little bit of the 11 and the 13. The warmness of the 11 works in this scene because it accentuates the fall leaves, but the slightly bluer take the 13 has makes the sky really pop here. And the 12, well, not surprisingly, it's right in between. Sharper with more saturation, and sharper with a bit more saturation, the iPhone 13 is on the right. These photos, more than the others, I think show the progression the cameras have made between the iPhone 11, the 12, and the 13. Alright, so last one, and for this one, we're gonna go wide. The iPhone 11 and 12 are a bit warmer and handle the high dynamic range between the lights and the darks better for this scene. Just take a look at those shadows. But like all photos, these things are subjective. Who's to say reds are better than blues? And these are the kind of questions that camera manufacturers are having to make all the time and with each iteration of their camera and each iteration of the software. And it's why the iPhone 13 has a distinctive look in its photos, and the iPhone 12 has a distinct look for its photos, and the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra has a distinct look for its photos. They all have their distinct look because those decisions are being made when the camera and the software are being made together. And those tastes and preferences change over time, and you can really see that with these photos. Now, if you're wondering if you should upgrade from the 12 to the 13 based on the camera alone, I think if you're not doing a lot of nighttime photography or things where you need a lot of light for your lens, like indoor photography, then it's probably not worth making the upgrade. But I'm guessing if you're thinking about that or you're in that category, then you're probably already looking at the iPhone 13 Max and not 13. Now, the difference between the iPhone 11 and the iPhone 13 is a bigger jump, but still not worth the upgrade for the camera alone. I think we might start to see that jump when the 14 comes out, but we'll just have to wait and see. The changes between these cameras are incremental year by year, so the difference between the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 13 may not seem huge, but when you compare it to the iPhone 11, for example, the progression then becomes more noticeable. Thanks for watching and playing this camera guessing game. Let me know out of 12 how many of these you got right down in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll have new videos for you every week, and I'll see you in the next video.